Many fans here in this
Hello and welcome back, fellow disc golf enthusiasts, to coverage of the PDGA Euro Tour second stop 2023 Konopiště Open. We are just south of Prague in the Franz Ferdinand disc golf course, and we are super excited to be bringing you round 3 front 9 FPO lead card action. With only 18 short holes left, soon your next Konopiště Open FPO champion will be crowned. As we take a look at our lead card here, you see Rachel Turton. Join me on the mic actually for rounds 1 and 2. Make sure to go check those rounds out if you have not yet. Joining her is Kaidi Allsalu. Already with a win under her belt this season at the Copenhagen Open, she is rated 935 from Estonia and has a really well-rounded game, capable of attacking a course like this. Joining her, Anneli Tõugjas-Männiste. We've also seen some incredible performances from her throughout the season. She has been a mainstay on the lead cards and has been always in contention for podium positions so far in the season. Rounding out this lead card, Sofie Björlycke has shown to have a very aggressive putting style and mindset and really likes to attack both the fairway and the basket. Always great to have her join the card as well. As we take a look at the top 10 standings, you see Rachel in the lead with a 4-stroke cushion there against Kaidi and Anneli, who are both tied in second at 3 under par. Sofie and Christy tied in fourth. Here we go. Hole 1, a 122-meter par 3 with OB lining the left side the entire way. A lot of players will opt for a backhand that pushes the right side tree line as much as possible, fading before the final bush, or a forehand with a stable disc that goes out over OB and comes back in safe. Really, the only danger here you need to avoid is finding that out of bounds, as the drop zone is far away and quite unforgiving.
Welcome to Konopiště Open 2023 presented by Discmania. This is your final round FPO action and your FPO lead card. First up on the tee, your leader after 2 rounds with a score of -7 from St Andrews, Great Britain, representing Prodigy, Europe and Ace Disc Golf. Please welcome Rachel Turton.
Here you see Rachel having a really strong round of 4 under in round 2. She has pushed ahead into the solo lead. On the mic, she mentioned really leaning on her strider, the mid-range disc, and her PA3 for approaches. First off the tee. A smooth and safe line right down the middle, making sure to keep it nose down to not fade left. She comes up a little bit short of the basket, but well within the fairway, no danger at all.
Allsalu.
Kaidi very strong with both the backhand and the forehand. Looks to be leaning towards the backhand option here. Although it fade towards OB, I think most players would agree it's the more attackable birdie line. And as she gives this soft hyzer into the hillside, another really nice safe shot. She inches closer at about circle's edge now, putting downhill towards the OB.
Representing Discmania and Team Discord, please welcome Anneli.
Anneli joining our lead card. She has had a lot of experience already on coverage, specifically on this channel and others. Not afraid of the bright lights here as she contends for another win and podium position. Playing the backhand line, this has considerably more height, but quite a lot of turn. As she fades now towards OB, she'll need the disc to settle. And she does exactly that, coming right up outside bullseye. A great shot, closest of the bunch so far.
Vänersborg, Sweden, representing RPM Discs and MaxFax, please welcome Sofie Björlycke.
Sofie here, joining our card. As mentioned, sponsored by RPM Discs. She is currently at 1 under par, so we'll need quite a pace to try and catch these ladies who are steaming ahead as she gives the unorthodox turnover backhand line and gliding all the way down there. That is a beautiful shape, really trusting the reliable fade. And finding herself within the circle, about 7-8 meters, putting back uphill. Quite a comfortable putt compared to these downhill looks. We see Rachel up first, just looking to approach, especially given she has the lead. There's no reason to risk any OB long, but she does come up a little bit too short for comfort, I'm sure. She would like an approach from that distance to be a little bit closer. As Kaidi also with a very tentative bid, you can see them avoiding OB at all costs. And Sofie here with the privilege of putting back uphill can be more confident, and there you go. Always attacking baskets. That's an amazing putt to get her started here on hole 1. Rachel now. Solid chains and a good distance to make early on in the round. This is Anneli for her birdie. She also finds that one. It's rare that you see too many birdies here on hole 1, really encouraging the safe plays. Great to see both Sofie and Anneli find those. Kaidi now. She will secure her par along with Rachel as Anneli and Sofie get the early stroke against the other two. We move on to hole 2, a 131 meter uphill par 4, playing significantly steep. It's a lot more than 131, as you want your tee shot to get in this gap between these two large trees. The fairway narrows and then bends to the left. As you'll see, your first shot would like to position you with a straight look to the basket, ideally on the hill, straight to hyzer fading shot, and then you have this straight approach, playing the right to left hillside as well as the numerous guardian trees. You want something to come up nice and soft, matching the grade of the hill. Although this is not one of the steepest greens, you'll see many more of those here in the Franz Ferdinand disc golf course. Anneli with a beautiful drive as she pumps this one up the gap, high-speed driver, straight to hyzer fade. That is an ideal shot, and she's positioned herself really nicely for a backhand or forehand approach. Sofie playing a little bit more of a flex play to really push the distance up the hill, and she too fades out right before Anneli. 2 ideal shots getting through very cleanly. Rachel mentioned liking to cycle her D1s, as you see her, one of the flippy ones I'm sure, flip that up to flat and around the branch, and you can see just how far up the fairway she gets, hugging that inside the whole way, just enough flight to beat the trees, and then a significant fade to the left. She'll have a short approach compared to the other lines. And Kaidi as well with a clean shot. Really nice drives from the whole lead card. They're here to play today in this final round. The weather is significantly nicer. It was about 20 to 25 degrees and sunny, very mild winds, but compared to round 2, which had the 3.5 hour thunderstorm delay, it was really a stark contrast and some fantastic scoring conditions. As we see an upshot there come up just a little bit short right, but still very much putting, I think, within the circle. A solid shot playing up the hillside. Anneli now finding her footing on the slope. She plays the soft hyzer bid. I think potentially fortunate to connect with that tree, as she would have been fading down the hill, coming out a touch early. That may have kept her closer to the basket than if The flight was completed. Kaidi now with an Anheuser bid. Coming up just a little bit short, but she slides her way into the circle as well. A nice shot there. And we'll see Rachel furthest off the tee, as she's left with a straight look now. Super smooth. Connecting in the bullseye and sticking it. That will be a drop-in birdie for your leader. Anneli now. She has been very strong from circle 2 historically, always giving it a chance. And you can see that one coming out just a little bit late, potentially due to that awkward footing. As Kaidi finds it, incredible putt. She walks that one in. She is getting her first birdie of this final round, and that is one that feels good to get. Sofie as well. We know she's a great putter. She sneaks in her second birdie of the round on hole 2. Very nice. Flawless performance so far. As Rachel ensures she finds that one as well, Anneli will take the par. Hole 3. A long par 5 with a right to left sloping hill and a lot of trees that you need to weave around, under, over, or through. You want your first shot to go straight to fading right if you can beat the final tree line into this wide open field. You then want to throw a bomb of a drive to bite off as much distance as possible between these two trees and fight your way down the hill. The fairway really begins to slope quite steeply right to left, so it's quite common a lot of shots filter early left, where you see these players in the bottom left of frame, leaving you with a long look to the basket. Playing wide on the hillside will really benefit a lot of players, and I think we'll see that on their approaches. Sofie on the box. So far, shooting a perfect round, although she was potentially fading towards the OB on the left side. It's worth mentioning anything that hyzers out too early or a cut roller that doesn't quite turn will find that OB left. We see Rachel going with the forehand off the tee to mitigate that risk. I like the line. I think a little bit of a placement shot for her, not trying to bite off too much distance, but there goes the roll. And she needs this to sit down. And it looks like it stopped. Tough break, but might actually open up her angle. I'm not sure if she lost too much distance to the green, just now playing from the left of the fairway rather than the right. Kaidi in a similar spot, getting just past that tree. We know Anneli has solid distance off the tee. She hits a low flex line that is unfortunately too nose down to get the full flex fade at the end. She cut rolls. You'll see her throw her forehand now to get around this final tree line. Although slightly turned over as well. She, I'm sure, was trying to throw that with significantly more hyzer finish. Sofie leaning on that nice Anheuser shape she's shown to be comfortable with and gets a full flight. That's a great shot. She's well positioned. Really put together game from Sofie to the start of this final round. I believe Rachel there going forehand, out into the gap now, wide open for her to attack the next shot with likely a backhand. Kaidi from a great position playing the big hyzer. She wants this to fade before the tree, right into the middle. And you see exactly that. She is by that red stake, indicating, I believe, 150 meters to the green. You'll see these blue stakes marking 100. Rachel with a low drive. Very common to see as you're throwing significantly downhill with the slope. It's really easy to fade out left, so a lot of players are scared to throw it too high. Anneli in a position to really get a drive out there. Catches a few branches, but great distance on the power hyzer. And there's that blue stake, so she's about 100 meters out. Sofie again leaning on that Anheuser turnover to get the distance. And you see her get a little bit caught up, but fortunate spit out. She might have awkward footing by the stump, but some good distance. Kaidi, speaking of awkward footing, off the knee, trying to get as much distance as she can. And that's a great spot. She's put herself out in the open with a short upshot. Solid scramble from off the fairway. Rachel playing the wide hyzer now, trying to get this one all the way to the green. She plays it high and wide. Doesn't get the full skip that a lot of sharper discs tend to find. As it sits down, looks to be about circle's edge up the hill. Anneli also playing the width and the skip here with the overstable disc, and that is beautiful. You see absolute touch moving towards the basket for the entire flight. Amazing shot. Sofie coming up just a little bit short as well. You can see some of the grass is quite dry and quick. Some of it's more lush and green. And depending on where you land and how fast of a disc you choose to approach with, you can really have a lot of different varieties of ground play. Kaidi there just getting the soft bounce into settle. Really nice shot as well. Sofie connecting. We mentioned that she likes to attack the putts, and what a par save there. 5 is a fine score to take on this hole, as it is a really long one with a lot of obstacles. Amazing putt by Sofie. There you go. Certainly here to play. Rachel going just a little bit high. She fades out. She'll be putting back uphill from 6 or 7. It's by no means a free putt here. And you see she will be walking away with the 7. The unfortunate 3 putt being the difference there. 2 missed putts and a double bogey. As your leader drops to 6 under, we see Kaidi here and Anneli, both of their discs under the basket. Both for par. And here you see hole 4, an 87-meter par 3. You have this gap to contend with between the large trees on the left and the right. You see the basket perched there right at the bottom of the hill. An attackable hole if you can pierce through with a straight shot, even a soft backstop. You can really disc up a little bit or throw a hard shot into the hill and hope you don't find too much skip. Requires a great precision. Sofie again leaning on the anhyzer, turning it over too early before the late gap. I think putting will be out of play from that position. Kaidi going with a hyzer release, but with something quite understable. She crashes through the trees and actually finds herself behind them. Quite a nice place to be. Anneli also playing to the side of caution on the right up the hill. She crashes the trees but does not fight through. As far as Kaidi's, it settles underneath. She may have an awkward obstructed putt with the low ceiling. We'll see if she chooses to get aggressive there. And Rachel here with a slightly early release after a tough time on the green of hole 3. You see on hole 4 a slight misrelease, perhaps feeling the pressure of the card. But a fine spot here. Out in the open, she has a short approach look and maybe can even give it a run. And I think she did, bringing that just up within the bullseye. Sofie actually opting for the forehand roller here. Dangerous with the hillside. But she spins out in time. We'll be left with about 5 or 6 meters. Anneli, you see that low ceiling I mentioned? Catching one on the way. And here's Kaidi, fortunate to come out the back of the trees. She's the only one with an open look to a normal putt. Comes out just a little bit low. Some putts now to see if we can complete the par frame. Sofie up first, and a great uphill putt. Played the roller, took the risk, was left with a little bit of distance, but really confident. Her putting is looking great so far this round. Anneli as well, securing that. All these players have shown to have some great skills, I think. Certainly, they have risen to the top here of the Konopiště Open. The ever-exciting round 3 lead card action. We see the par frame come to fruition there. Hole number 5, a 219-meter par 4 off a beautiful elevated tee. The tee shot opens up into this heavily right-to-left sloping fairway with OB on the left side. You want a backhand or forehand straight shot that pierces through or around this log, and then you fight your way up the hill. A great shot will be positioned still about 100 meters with significant uphill. You need a lot of power if you don't fight around the corner on the first shot. There's also an early fairway that some players may choose to take, cutting off some distance but leaving you blind on the approach. You can also go early to the right side with a forehand hyzer or a sky and hyzer backhand, although it's a tough play. We see Sofie here opting for the straight line, trying to flex the forehand. She pushes that Annie out, just battling back into the fairway. She might have an obstructed walk-up, but I think no branches in her throw. Kaidi looking to do the same. Her forehand battling just to the edge. She is in the shadow of that first island of trees on the right side by the banner. We see Anneli here. Nice and low with some turn. If she can get this to fade, that's a great shot. Shouts 4 for the cameraman. Keeping them sharp. Also a nice looking shot. I like the height to mitigate any chance of OB left. She still gets a ton of distance, so we'll be left with a lot, but solid progress. Rachel playing the early fairway to the right. You then from there need to play a power hyzer around the first island of trees to the right side, and then find your way more laterally to the green than uphill. You see Kaidi doing the same. Rachel with a big rip up the hill, getting a long pushing flight and then some fade. She'll have a short but obstructed upshot to the green. As we see Sofie here, battling around to the left side, the more traditional fairway, with a power forehand. Anneli looking to do the same, shaping something really uphill around the corner. She gets a lot of distance, a slight cut roll away, but manages to settle quickly, and she'll also be left with a short upshot. We see what Sofie's left with, still some distance to find. And a smooth shot with the forehand driver. Anneli swinging it a bit wide, catching the edge of the tree though. She will be in a solid putting position. Kaidi as well, playing to that right side fairway makes your approach a little bit more obstructed, but playing the forehand comfortably against the hillside really mitigates a lot of the risk, and you can go around and under the trees, as we see that exact play from Rachel as well. Very solid par there for Sofie, as we see all of our players on this lead card up on the green looking for their pars. We see Rachel find it as well. Likely Anneli. And Kaidi with a short tap in the par frame. Hole 5 is 4 is an absolutely fine score to get, playing the same for both MPO and FPO. It is a long demanding hole, and par is not bad. We move to hole 6, a 115 meter par 3 with OB lining the left the entire way, delineated by those white markers. Once again, we are on the same hill, so still sloping right to left. The most common mistake, similar to hole 1, is anything that's too overstable or at least too high often finds OB to the left. Players will play either the big power forehand if they have the distance, or the turnover backhand flex, playing to the right side, maybe trying to flatten out and fade towards the basket if you dare. Sofie still holding the box, gets this turned over, but does not quite fade out towards the end of the flight. She'll be left with, I think, just a jump putt downhill approach, though. Kaidi giving this a little bit more height, a little bit more stable of a disc. She pushes this one straight, finds the skip around the back of that left guardian, and she is right up there. Really smooth shot, playing the right side and catching the fade at the right moment. Great control there from Kaidi. Anneli will need this to turn or hit something, as she is rapidly approaching OB. She fades out early and will find that penalty stroke. Luckily, we're still within putting range with the distance that she got, a chance to save par. Rachel also getting a nice turn out of this one. Soft fade at the end. Really nice as she actually fires through bullseye, settles a little bit long. A nice looking flight that really got that expected finish on the hill. Sofie, there's that soft putt approach down towards OB, hence why she leaves it short, not taking any risk. Oh, and Anneli with such a good bid to try and save par. Rings it up just on the cage, a few centimeters higher, and she would have found that long putt. Rachel here for birdie. Really nice, as we see her once again get back on the board, returning her round to even after the double bogey on hole 3. Kaidi a little bit high off the band, although Sofie here for par. Anneli likely taking a bogey after the penalty stroke. Rachel there sneaks a little bit away from the pack once again, with Kaidi and Anneli taking pars. Sofie and Kaidi taking pars, and Anneli with the lone bogey. Great job by Rachel to find that one. Keep the pressure up. We move on to hole 7, an 82 meter par 3, although significantly uphill, once again playing a lot longer than that. This is a pure tunnel shot the entire way with a bit of a low ceiling depending on which gap you choose. You want something clean, straight down the middle, avoiding all the branches, where you'll find yourself on this sloped green looking to make a putt. Rachel up first now, the lone birdie on hole 6. She fires her drive up there, doesn't fade at the end as maybe she wanted, but a really nice distance. I think she's about pin high, right where you want to be. Sofie once again playing the turnover shot. Really nice, just avoiding those branches on the left. Also in the circle left with a birdie putt. Kaidi opting for the hyzer flip, and look at that. Incredible. Almost even skipping it in. She bounces just shy of the basket and is absolutely parked. Really a perfect looking line. Anneli here turning one over a bit early into the fairway. As she gets caught up, she has made it about 2/3 of the way up there. Will be left with a short approach, leaning on her tactic. And she dings it. I think a great result after the tee shot. That's what she's playing for. She makes sure to tap that one out and let the rest of the card now try and find their birdies on hole 7. Fortunate for that to sit down. You saw her watch it in the event of rollaway on the slope. Sofie finds the band. Rachel, the chains. She now puts herself once again to below par for this round. Solid drive and solid putt. Kaidi coming back towards it. Absolutely parked. Amazing tee shot from Kaidi for the stress-free birdie. You want as many of those as possible out here. And tough one for Sofie. It is definitely good to aim higher going uphill on the putts, but of course you can still find it too high, really close. We move on to hole number 8. One of the most attackable holes. This is a 90-meter par 3 with an open fairway and then a late tree line that you can pierce through. You can opt for any of these gaps. A lot of players will play the forehand hyzer if they're comfortable with it through the left gap. You can also come as the drone flies with a soft backhand flex or turnover. And once you make it through the tree line, you have an elevated basket to contend with. Rachel opting for that forehand hyzer, looking to play the skip, but comes out a little bit early. She does push that right side OB, although looking to be safe, she'll be left with a long putt to the high basket. So you see a slip from Kaidi there. Losing her stance a little bit on the release, it comes out high and left. Fortunate to catch some branches and settle. She'll be taking, I think, an easy 3 if she wants it from there. Oh, and Sofie with the super smooth turnover backhand, still coming up in a great position despite that late branch. Really solid line, taking the most technical one, that turnover backhand. Anneli blasting the power forehand, so actually fights through a tiny gap there. Coming out the back, she's left with a putt. Kaidi just pitching up. And Anneli now for birdie. Secures it, catches right side. Nice and strong. During round 3, there was actually a local race or marathon going on in the running path behind the green. A great putt there. So it was also, depending on the timing of the runners and your putt, testing your focus a little bit. Worth mentioning, although it seems to have quieted down now. Sofie for birdie. Just out the right side. Unfortunate. Perhaps the elevation coming into her head, as she's left now with a longer putt than where she started. Incredible composure. Those can be really frustrating to, in fact, get further away from the basket rather than closer with a throw or putt. And Rachel just pitching up, tapping in her par as well. Anneli there with the lone birdie on hole 8 for this FPO lead card. We will close out this front 9 here. A 288-meter par 4. You have a long downhill tee shot, one of the most fun to throw on the entire course. A lot of players will opt for a backhand hyzer flip or full hyzer, as you want to get as much distance as possible down the hill straight, and then to the left. You are left in this open field where you then have this second late gap. As the fairway narrows, you will find OB on the left side, right underneath all of that rough. The right, although it has larger trees, does not have any OB, so you must pick your gap, hit it through the second tunnel, As you find your way to this fast downhill green with OB long, you need to ensure that you come in nice and soft to not skip OB. A great hole, requiring 2 powerful throws to birdie. Anneli just smooshing the hyzer down the hill. Really nice. That will position herself in a good spot to try and attack the second gap if she chooses to. I think so at this point in the tournament. Rachel as well, pushing this one out really nice and straight before catching a big fade. Ideal shots there as Rachel gets to almost that 150 banner, may have even made it. A great drive from Rachel, really showing off her distance there. Kaidi has this one a little bit nose up on the downhill fairway. She's fading out early, and there is a fence that you can find OB on, but looks to have stayed on the safe side. She will have an awkward throw, though, to follow from there. Sofie also really playing inside on the left. There's a lot of room out on the right. Although it's easy to flip one up to flat, it's also easy to fade out early. Sofie, luckily, glides right by all of that and is left out in the open. So you see what Kaidi's left with. Just trying to get as much distance down the fairway now as possible from the knee. She actually pushes it a touch too straight, likely trying to throw it hard. Anneli now playing the placement shot into the mouth. She goes for a full hyzer and settles down in a great spot right before the narrowest point of the fairway. She has settled and will have a short upshot, playing for par. Sofie here trying to shape this through the gap, but turning it over early will find herself in the right side rough. The branches are really dense and really low hanging there, as you see. It can be super tough to find any sort of gap big enough for your disc. Rachel trying to bomb this one through the gap as well. She does. She gets past the OB, fading out left, even a little bit of a counter skip, and then a spin out. She is at a long putt for birdie, but a really nice place to be. Could just choose to lay out for an easy 4 if she'd like to. Kaidi now needing to watch out for this OB long. I like the height that she's kept it at. Although it doesn't slide forwards, actually cut rolling. Had a little bit too much turn angle on the approach into the ground. She didn't get the full flight. Sofie really battling there out of the right side fairway, putting herself also at a jump putt downhill distance. Anneli's placement shot here. This is her third now. She just wants to put it close to the basket. And she does exactly that, as it is bullseye. Super smooth, well executed game plan. Anneli walking out of here with a 4 for sure. Sofie with her approach, also very accurate, good control. And Kaidi looking like she hated it, potentially wanting to run it, realizing that the holes are running out. Rachel as well with a simple layup for her par. As you see her now. She finds that one nicely. And a great bounce back to the round for your leader after a tough hole 3. Had a good composure to snag a few more birdies and some easy pars. As we see Sofie take the lone bogey, getting caught up. Anneli taking the par, and actually a second bogey for Kaidi there. That's it. The front 9 is complete. As we take a look at the standings, Rachel continuing to hold the solo lead with a cushion at 8 under par. We see tied in second, a tight battle. Kaidi and Anneli both at 4 under total. Sofie at 2 under, still very much in play. Christy in 5th. Jenny Larsson in 6th, and the names continue. Very tight battle. We have only 9 holes remaining before we crown the champion, as well as your other podium positions. Exciting stuff. Thank you for joining us here today. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the back 9. Adios, amigos.